So how many days has it been since the talks at the Bomas of Kenya began? If you've been counting, it's now 44 days that are left. That particular committee was given us 60 days to deliberate on the issues that they were supposed to have conversations upon. Those particular motions of anchoring their talks on the law went to the National House and the Senate House. And then after that, then it was the ball in their court for them to tell Kenyans on the way forward on all those issues. Remember, we do know that they did agree on the issues they're going to talk about, and the framework of discussion was agreed upon. But now there are jitters over the pace of those talks. Seemingly, both camps are feeling that it's taking too long to come up with deliberations on how to move on those issues. We do understand that the REBC issue is already being spoken about, and some issues can be easy, especially when you look at them from outside inside. We do know that the opposition is reining in on the government to stop the massacre on political parties. That's exactly what they're calling it. And that decision by the ODM party then to suspend the members of parliament is also part of their feelings about what is going on from the Kenya Kwanza government in the running of the political parties in the country. So it's just for us to sit back and see exactly how this is going to go on. But what we do know is that up to now, those talks are essentially going on, and we're going to look at them in entirety this morning from all the panels, the panel that is going to join us this morning. Madam Simba Kiage, thank you very much for choosing to begin your day with us right here on Lookuptv. We are online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. The hashtag is the Morning Drift. We have a jam-packed essential for you all the way to 9:30 this morning. So much to look forward to, including talks on how now it's becoming almost impossible to rent a shop in a town. We'll be telling you that shortly, plus many other issues on how the shilling is losing against the dollar. This morning we start at the closing yesterday when the shilling essentially jumped to 150 in the official market, with some buyers and sellers essentially saying that they might have been buying it at exactly 152. That's bad, isn't it? So the fears that we're looking for to what in 2021, but now we are talking about it. Well, take a tiny breather right here on the Morning Drift. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to your newspapers this morning. That is interesting this morning. It's got good stories essentially for anybody wanting to know exactly what's going on in the country. And this is what they're saying: jitters over the pace of Ruto-Raila talks. Now, with the tight deadlines to come up with a report that will inform changes in the country's laws, the speed of talks has leaders raising eyebrows on whether the agenda will be fully discussed and on time to effect changes. That particular story, by the way, has been covered on page 6 of the Standard, and there's an Akada report below there that is talking about how more than half of Kenyans have ever used a drug or substance of abuse in their lifetime, and alcohol and tobacco are the most widely abused substances at 19% and 15%. There is also an increasing demand for cheaper and readily available alcoholic products, especially chang'aa, at 3.4%. And this is what they're saying: treat drug abuse or lose a generation. That is for all those people abusing drugs. Please, stop. Chang'aa is at 3.4%. There's an increase in its consumption. Yeah. What was it last year? Because if this is essentially what they're saying here, then guys, please do not. It's not a good thing. All right? Read that particular story on page 2 of the Standard. And this is a story that essentially has also grabbed headlines. Now, Sakaja unleashes tax wrath on city hustlers. Increased tax to rent a shop at the city market increases from 39,000 shillings from 30,000 For a large stall, one will pay 3,250 shillings more. 20,000 is the creation of Langata Cemetery goes up by 3,200 from 16,800 to 20,000 for dolls. Using the chapel will cost 500 shillings more. Now, to be allowed to operate a plant nursery, you will need to cough up 10,000 shillings. 300 shillings is now the daily parking fee, which would now increase from 200 shillings for saloon cars, and 1,000 shillings will be the amount of money that fish hawkers will have to part with. Whoa, all right? That is Mama Karanga now. They have to part with 1,000 shillings. That particular story covered on page 4, all right? On pages 5, the trending story on WorldCoin, which we also covered on our website on www.lookuptv.co.ke, is how Owalo ICTCS now throws data boss under the bus with a particular story on page 5, and story on the Morocco earthquake, to choose either son or parents. That particular story covered on page 27. All right, good. On the back pages, it's sport. That means that we have to talk about Man United problems. We don't have the energy for that. All right, let's cross over to the Daily Lecture this morning. Now, the 2020 elections, there's a story here on how Raila was caught flat-footed, that in a battle to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, the push and pull had moved from the campaign trenches to the hallowed sanctums of the courtrooms and the planning desks of secretariats, and Mr. Odinga and his main challenger, Dr. Ruto, was squatting it out in a dramatic fashion. But on the evening of August 8, just hours before polling sessions opened for what will be one of the most fiercely fought presidential elections, a court sitting in Nairobi overturned an earlier decision to compel the electoral agency to use manual registers to identify voters. That and the very late move by a section of azimio bigwigs to change party agents at 2 a.m. on election day may have just worked against Mr. Odinga. A particular story covered on pages 6, 7, and 8 of the Daily Nation. On pages 10, you're going to read about how the state has invited bids to operate port assets. And on the back pages, university is now demanding fee, say first years. Some colleges defying Machogu's directive. That's on the back pages of the Daily Nation. And that particular story on how alcohol use addiction up in the last 5 years, that's a report, and the Standard has it put it very clearly that Chang'an use has essentially increased all the way up to 3.4%. And Beth Mugo, cancer shock and the epic battle to save my life. That particular story covered on pages 2 and 3. That's them. Take a short breather. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to your newsroom, where we get then to see some of the stories that you are waking up to. Welcome back. You are watching The Morning Drift. Now, the Department of Education in Bungoma County is keen on strengthening kindergarten education. The education officer from the county, Nicholas Kiboi, has indicated that the department has put in place measures to ensure kindergarten students have a good opportunity to develop themselves academically. ICTC's Eli Dowalo now says that by the end of the year, the ministry will have ensured that Kenyan data collected by WorldCoin is deleted. The CS spoke while appearing before the National Assembly Committee probing the WorldCoin legality in the country, where he stressed that his ministry is working around the clock to put in measures that will ensure citizens' safety.
Take us through.
Appearing before the WADADA committee today, ICT Cabinet Secretary Eli Dowalo has said that his office has put safety measures to ensure that Kenyans' personal data is protected.
We remain committed to ensuring that Kenya is an attractive hub for technology in Africa and beyond. As I stated, I have already begun the process of reviewing the existing instruments in the emerging and emerging environment. It is also noteworthy, Mr. Chairman, that under the Act, once the data controllers and data processors are registered, they are not required to report on their activities periodically to assure the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner that they are compliant with their obligations under the Act and their own commitments, as was espoused earlier on in the Data Protection Impact Assessment Report or disclosures made during registration.
The committee sought to know as to why Kenya was targeted. This came after WorldCoin CEO Alex Blania, when he appeared before the committee last week, said that they did not operate in other countries due to lack of regulatory policies.
There was a part of unique identification by scanning the iris, and then there was a second part that involved a token in the form of a cryptocurrency, which Kenyans went ahead to put at a value of around 7,500 Kenya shillings. Now the question here is, WorldCoin offered to this committee that the reason why they are not operating the cryptocurrency part of their business in the US is because there is a glaring lack of regulatory clarity.
Owalo, his father, said that there's need to appreciate technology, calling out various commission and ministries to have a sit down to seek answers on the puzzle around WorldCoin.
A mandatory periodic reporting framework or mechanism for data controllers and data processors to inform the eligibility or otherwise for purposes of renewal, because the certificates are issued for a given period of time, for example 2 years. We need to find a mechanism, a monitoring, evaluation and reporting framework that would ascertain that even subsequent to registration, if there are certain minimum parameters that you are not conforming to, then you will not be able to be eligible for subsequent registration.
Maven Getembe, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Let's move on now. A number of Kenya Defence Forces, KDF, were injured after running over an improvised explosive device in Lamu County Sunday. According to a statement from KDF on Monday, the officers were on patrol along the Milimani Baure Road when they encountered the unfortunate incident.
A recent terror attack in Baure, Lamu County has left at least 8 military personnel injured after a military vehicle that was traveling on the Baure Drum main supply route triggered an IED, resulting in an explosion. Despite the subsequent police operation in the area, the perpetrators managed to escape, and the authorities believe that the terrorists responsible for these bombs were targeting security vehicles using the same route. The injured were airlifted to Manda Base Hospital for medical care. Confirming the attack, KDF in a statement said they condemned the criminals who disrupt movement and sabotage socio-economic stability in the area. They have further called on the residents to share information of any attacks. The Kenya Defence Forces vehicle was travelling on the Baure Drum main supply route when it triggered the IED, resulting in an explosion that also damaged a Kenya Army technical vehicle. The authorities suspect the terrorists operating within the extensive Boni forest were responsible for setting up the bomb. However, no arrests have been made, and the injured individuals were promptly evacuated to a hospital. This marks the latest incident in a series of terror-related attacks in the region this month, following the deaths of over 10 individuals in separate incidents in August. Hadassa Christel, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Now, 1 in every 8 Kenyans aged between 15 and 65 years is currently using alcohol. with Western Kenya topping the list of regions with the highest prevalence of alcoholism in Kenya. This is according to a survey conducted by the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NACADA. And as Brian Amwai now reports, the survey reports also revealed that the prevalence of cannabis in the country has doubled in the last 5 years.
NACADA has revealed that alcohol is currently the most abused drug in Kenya, whereby 1 in every 8 Kenyans aged between 15 and 65 years is currently using alcohol. In the survey released on Monday by NACADA, Western Region has an alcohol consumption rate of 26.4%, with the Coast Region coming second with a rate of 13.9%. Central Kenya closed the third slot with a rate of 12.8%. The survey further showed that the Western Region led the country in consumption of traditional brews, topping at 12.9%. Central Region is leading in drinking spirits with a prevalence of 4.3%, followed by the Coast Region at 3.2%, while Rift Valley came third with 3.1%. In legally manufactured alcohol, Nairobi has the highest with a prevalence rate of 10.3%. Central comes second with 10.0%, while Eastern is the third with 8.4%. On the same age demographic, NACADA reports that males are currently using alcohol more than females. It also revealed that the prevalence of cannabis in Kenya has doubled in the last 5 years. The report was done following a survey that NACADA conducts every 5 years. The survey was done on 3,314 people aged between 15 and 35 years. Through the survey, the Drug Authority established that children below 18 years were abusing drugs. This is despite the well-documented negative implications and consequences of early initiation. The authority also finds that drug users have a high risk of developing depressive disorders, making it hard for mental health professionals to solve underlying issues. Brian Amwai, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
After automation of the Central Security Depository by the Central Bank in a bid to enhance the transparency and security of the system, investors in the government, treasury bills and bonds can now open transaction accounts from the convenience of their computers in a short time, as opposed to the current situation where it took up to 14 days to open an account. Launching the new transaction system, President William Ruto called on the CBK to allow Kenyans without bank accounts to invest in government securities through mobile money.
This was your place? Yes. In a bid to promote trade and stabilize the country's financial market, President William Ruto has recommended the platform CSD, a platform which was unveiled by CBK in August 2023 to eliminate manual processes in the CSD transactions.
So His Excellency will then hand the check to the CS Treasury for safekeeping. Wonderful.
Speaking during the launch, President Ruto said the requirements to have bank accounts should be reworked to allow all Kenyans to trade using M-Pesa accounts, added that the facility will eliminate barriers for Kenyans to trade in the financial markets.
There is a requirement for one to have a bank account in Kenya. And on this, I am speaking to many Kenyans who do not have a bank account. I'm also speaking to many Kenyans in the diaspora, speaking for many Kenyans who are in the diaspora who may not necessarily have a Kenyan bank account. My advice and feedback to the team is that you need to make it possible for Kenyans who do not have a bank account but have an M-Pesa account to also participate in this space.
The President noted that the electronic infrastructure will deepen the domestic capital markets, promote savings and investment, besides fostering the growth and stability of the financial markets.
Each and every one of us, we need to ask ourselves the job of building Kenya. What is my contribution? Whatever it is, however small, however big, how am I making a contribution towards the nation that I belong to as a citizen of Kenya?
The new facility is set to enable Kenyans to invest in government debt without physically visiting CBK. All current investors who have been buying treasury bills and bonds manually will now be transferred to the new platform, a platform where investors can place bids for their preferred securities. The platform will also allow banks to trade with one another by exchanging collateral of their treasury holdings. Kevin Yapara, Lookuptv.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has reaffirmed the government's commitment to clearing the passport backlog at Nyayo House, vowing sustained reforms to stamp out graft. Kindiki emphasized the government's dedication to enhancing efficiency and eradicating corruption that has plagued the Immigration Department for years. Seeing as Kindiki made the remarks when he paid another visit to Nyayo House on Monday to assess the progress in clearing the backlog of pending passports.
Immigration Director General Evelyn Cheluget. After visiting Nyayo House, Kindiki made his way to Kiambu County to commission a chief's office, taking the opportunity to announce the raft of changes made at the Nyayo House to ensure proper service delivery.
Hapo watu walikuwa wameumizwa kwa siku mingi wakitafuta vyeti vya kusafiri ng'ambo. Wengine wako na watu wagonjwa ambao wangetaka kuwapeleka ng'ambo kupata matibabu. Wengine wako na watoto ambao wamepata nafasi ya kusoma kule nchi za ng'ambo. Na pale tumesema wale watu wote ambao walikuwa pale Nyayo House wanatesa wananchi, tumewaondoa pale. Wengine tumewashika, tumewapeleka mahakamani, na tumesema hakuna broker yeyote.
Kindiki cautioned government officers across all sectors against taking bribes to offer government services to Kenyans.
We have decided to implement the government policy on zero tolerance on corruption. Therefore, no member of the public service, no officer is supposed to demand bribes from members of the public to offer services that are supposed to be offered free of charge.
With the chiefs and other senior police officers on the spot for engaging in politics, Kindiki warned local administrators of meddling in political affairs and instead focused on service delivery.
Wakati hapo ile utawala ambao umetoka, katika huo utawala ulikuwa unalazimisha watumishi wa umma kujiingiza katika siasa. Wanaambia machief waende wakapige siasa ya vyama. Wanaambia ma-OCS na maafisa wa polisi waingie katika siasa. Siasa itafanywa na wananchi kupitia viongozi wao wa kisiasa. Kazi yetu kama watumishi wa umma ni kupatiana huduma kwa wananchi.
As the government procures more equipments to fight criminals, the former Tharaka Nithi senator has called upon the officers to ensure that law and order is maintained.
Weka usalama. Tukihakikisha watoto wetu wamesoma. Tukihakikisha wakulima wamehudumiwa, wamepata mbolea. Tukihakikisha ya kwamba kuna utulivu, serikali hii itachaguliwa mara ingine kwa njia ya urahisi.
Ian Kitani, Lookuptv.
The National Dialogue Committee is now pushing the technical team to review the 142 submissions from the public so as to align the views with the 5-point agenda as agreed by the two opposing political factions. The team is confident that they will reach an agreement within the stipulated 60 days that the talks are supposed to happen.
The National Dialogue Committee now wants in the next 4 days the technical committee to align all submissions so as to be in sync with the agreed 5 points. A total of 155 submissions were received as of September, 121 of which were channeled via mail, 29 hand-delivered at the Parliament buildings, 5 at Bomas of Kenya with 13 double copy submissions.
So a total of 155 submissions that we have received, less what we call the double submissions, where in fact they have submitted 2 copies, 13, so we have a total of 142 memoranda.
Sentiments echoed by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who reiterated that beginning Monday there will be critical discussions as the dialogue committee will be receiving technical committee reports from the memoranda by the public as they work around the clock to beat the timeline as agreed by the two houses.
We have decided to have the next sitting of the committee. Had you mentioned that? On Monday. The reason is simple. We don't want the country to get the feeling that we need to adjourn every time. As you can see, dealing with 142 memoranda is quite a task. And we, immediately after this, the technical committees will go into session and do as much as they can, so that by the time we meet on Monday, it will be heavy engagement.
By the time the next session is happening on Monday next week, 18 out of 60 days will have lapsed.
The technical team is part of the work of this committee. Yes. So all we are saying is we allow them these few days to delve deep into the memoranda, while in fact allowing other Kenyans also so we don't lock out anybody, so that when we meet on Monday, it will be serious engagement.
It remains a matter of time as political temperatures surrounding the dialogues continue to cause uproar, following constant remarks emanating from the opposing sides of the bipartisan talks.
The National Dialogue Committee has today met and revealed that it has received more than 155 submissions from the public and now says its technical committee is going to take a week more to review all the 155 submissions submitted to it. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv, at the Bomas of Kenya, Nairobi.
That particular story right there then takes us to the next part of our discussion this morning. That team is confident that within the remaining 44 days, that is just a month and a half left, they will be able to go through the entire systems that have been made by various parts of Kenyans, various lobby groups around the country, and then come up with deliberations that are going to be anchored within law, as we do now know of it, to inform the way the country moves forward in this conversation for national dialogue. But then some members feel but will not meet that deadline. But the committee says we're going to meet that deadline. If they're going to talk about all those issues, and so far we've seen that even the IEBC issue, the reconstitution of IEBC, has become a problem to some. Do you think they're going to meet those particular deadlines then that are really very tight in coming up with a platform that's going to inform the way the country moves forward? That's a question. Will they meet the deadline in the next 44 days? And the clock is ticking. After today will be 43 days. Talk to us at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. Once we come back, we table that conversation on exactly where we are in as much as that national dialogue is concerned and all the noise that we've had around that particular dialogue at the Bomas of Kenya. Once we come back.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection. Added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Lima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present to you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Lima,
Ian Keitani, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
The story we're telling today is a story of passion in practice that grows into business.
We have partnered with the Youth Fund, talk to as many youth as possible and work with them, hold their hand.
It is an expose of captains who have decided to take on challenges in different sectors and industries within the country.
My mentors had also not started as CEOs. They grew up and they showed me how they grew in the organizations. So that's what motivated me to actually do international business. And it was a good experience.
As an individual, support in bridging the care gap, part of me also to offer a solution. I want to leave this world a better place than I found it.
This is the Captain's Arena. My name is Simba Kiage.
.ke.
Praise the Lord and Bwana Yesu asifiwe sana. My name is Pastor Josephiah. I'm from a ministry called Reconcilers World. God gives strength to the weary. I am, Jesus is speaking. He says, I am the door. Then he says, anyone who enters in through me will be saved. The Lord is my shepherd or shepherd. Then he says, I will always have everything I need. God desires to guide you. He's telling you that this day, don't just trust the Lord, but he's telling you, trust the Lord widely.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your number one show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Yeah. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Kiage. Thank you very much for choosing to continue your day with us right here on Lookuptv. We are online on Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. Also, talk to us live on our website, www.lookuptv.co.ke. Good. Let's then table the conversation this morning, and it's around the talks that are ongoing at the Bomas of Kenya. The issue this morning, as the Standard is putting it, is that there are jitters on the ongoing talks at the Bomas of Kenya, where now leaders in the country feel that the 60 days, by the way, and if you're counting, that have now come down all the way to 45, that those days are not enough for them to go through the entire topics and come up with a framework that is essentially going to guide the country on how to move forward on those particular issues. Question being again is that we've seen them try and deliberate and come up with proposals on exactly what they can do on the top issues that have essentially been drafted for negotiations, especially on the reconstitution of IEBC and the creation of the office of opposition leader. It looks as if that is straightforward, but then these leaders feel that indeed, when you look at the rest of the issues, especially the ones that have been drafted by the opposition, it's going to take time then for them to actually have proper ways to move forward to come up with the deliberations in the next 60 days. Good. Let me just then take my time to introduce the panel that is going to join us shortly for this conversation. We're waiting for Danton Kitumbini to come in. Danton is a governance and policy expert, and Lydia and Jerry Ndungu is already here to essentially then begin this conversation so that we can start deliberating on whether indeed the 45 days that are left for that particular committee at the Bomas of Kenya are enough for them to guide Kenyans into the next draft. Good. Lady, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Happy to have you around.
Thank you, I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
Thank you for the invite.
Karibu sana. So here's a question. That some people have looked at the issues that this committee already has. And in fact, there are already submissions that keep on coming in from different sections of the country, from different lobby groups that are essentially telling the committee seated at the Bomas of Kenya that we think this is the way to move about this particular issues that you guys are faced with. Well, some leaders have looked at those particular issues and they've said, you see, the 60 days that this committee was given to go through this entire draft is not enough. In fact, they're saying, well, they need more time. And this is where they're coming from. That story that has been covered on the Standard this morning, they're saying that some of those issues are a hard nut to crack. And they're saying those issues especially that have been raised by the opposition, it is not a touch and go, that it's going to take more time for us to come up with a proper draft. Do you agree that the 45 days that are left are not enough for that committee to go through the 10 issues that they have to go through?
Thank you. First of all, I want to say hi to the viewers of Lookuptv, my favorite. And a good morning also to my people in Kiambu. Simba, I want to say this. There's no goodwill in the first place for this kind of a meeting. Already, these guys have concluded in their heart that they're brushing off the whole thing. I mean, you know, they are not sincere, and especially from the KK government. Because number one, there is a sitting somewhere in Bomas and people are discussing things. But when these guys go out there, hey, we have given Baba what he wanted, hey, there is nothing, you know, when you're having a discussion and then you're blushing it off to the public, what do you expect the public to do and to know? You know, these guys, they have no goodwill. They are not genuine. They are just time wasters. And that is why they are feeling it is not enough time, because they don't want to come to a conclusion. They are taking the azimio for a ride. That is my observation. Because, you know, when you have a goodwill even when you have conflict somewhere, the best thing is not to keep going out there and maybe to have conflict maybe with your family. You're here, let us talk, let us call the community, let us talk. And then out there, you are talking about bibi yangu, sijui nini, so many things. So what does that tell you? Do you have a good with yourself? And you know, the main people here is the president and the president of the azimio. You see, those are the key people. But if the president would go there and water down what is happening at Bomas, when the deputy president, the second in command, would go there and say, you know, this Baba, we already gave him what we wanted, you know, what are you trying to tell us? Is that whatever you have put up at the Bomas is just a nonsense. It is just a waste of time. We have already concluded that all what they want to discuss, it is not valid to us. So, whether it is not a matter of time, there is no goodwill, and these guys are just taking people for a ride, and they are trying to waste time for the time to go. You know, we are told healing comes with the time, you know. Now things have cooled down. Even at this time, if Baba would say, let us go to the street, it might not be as it was before. You know, it was vigorous before and everybody was like waiting for Baba to say something. But now, with the time, things cool down. You understand? Even when you have a conflict and you give it time, inaendanga tu inaingia kwa maji, pap. At the end of it all, you don't realize. So this one, why the time is an issue to them, is because they want this thing to die. We don't, you know, when the elections were over, the bloods were, tulikuwa tunachamka. We were like, hey, no, this has gone wrong. After 3 months, tunasema anyway, let us give them time. At the end of it all, we still have to give them time, and at the end of it all, it will die. So it is not about the time, even if they are given up to the 4 years that is remaining. Hakuna talk, itazaa matunda. It will not bear any fruit. So it's a waste of time. Personally, I feel they are taking people for a ride, for people to forget. Because you hear people, even I don't look at the TVs nowadays, I don't look at these, I don't want to listen to anything. What does that tell you? People are just tired. Kenyans are just tired. And the reason why they are tired is because of the time it has taken. If they continued with the mandamano, as the talks were going on, it could bear fruits. But for now, it's not a matter of time, but good. You see, somebody like Kishongo, who is the head of the whole thing, is not appearing to that meeting. He knew very well there is a meeting this day. If it was an important meeting, he could not have missed. But because he knows it's a waste of time, even himself, Kwanza he's the worst. He's the worst part here because he has, he's emotional about everything. Even he has no goodwill. So at the end of it all, it's a waste of time. And we can see it from the leadership and from the people who are concerned. I believe they are taking Baba for a ride. And in fact, they should just stop the whole thing because we are not expecting any fruit from our side.
Let's then look at exactly what is on the ground in as regards these talks at the Bomas of Kenya and where they are right now. The bone of contention when we started these talks were the issues that the committee was supposed to look into immediately after they agreed that they're going to talk. Now, you would think that indeed the panel beat those issues and decide on exactly which one could make it to the table and which one could not make it to the table. Turns out that now we have 10 issues that this committee has to look into, 5 from the Azimio side and 5 from the Kenya Kwanza side. Now, let's then look at essentially what these leaders jittery about. They're saying that some of these issues, especially the cost of living, Lydia. They're saying an issue of the cost of living is not something that you're going to go in today as a committee and say, do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after 3 days, you agree on exactly what you're going to do. Because you're speaking to a government that is already telling you, we have a plan around the cost of living. So according to them, when they look at that one specifically, they're like, an issue of the cost of living can even take you 50, 60 days to talk about. So they're saying, well, in this host of issues that you have here, there's also the cost of living. So they're convinced 60 days now, which is 45 days, is not enough for that particular committee to come up with a solution on this particular issue.
Simba, these guys were there last year. Either they have landed in the country right now, and they want to fix things. But what I'm asking myself, if they are genuine, the baton that you expected the former president, Bwana Uhuru Kenyatta, to touch for the things to change, is the same button they are supposed to touch, because according to the Kenya Kwanza government, hey, I thank God for social media, I thank God for the internet, which never forgets. These are the guys that had the loudest voice. Hey, chakula lazima ikishuke, petroli lazima iende chini, nini. And you know what I wonder? Are people not ashamed of themselves? Because you are talking about this and you know very well it is recorded. It is recorded. It is in the internet. It is in the newspapers. It is in the media. And then all of a sudden, because you have taken over, now that is the time you want to tell us that you are realizing these things cannot be realized in a short time. Are you genuine? That is my question. That button that you felt that Uhuru should touch, for the cost of living to go down, for the whatever they are talking about, kwani they removed that button there? Because to me, it's like there was a button that Uhuru had not touched. And they promised Kenyans, when we get in, it is a touch. It's at the touch of the button.
Yes.
And things will be okay. Where is the button, Simba? Who has hidden? Did Uhuru go out with the button? That is my question. So, can you do what you told the Kenyans? Because they are not fools. They have been waiting. You said that when we get siku ya kabla tuweke Biblia chini, these and things will happen. What is happening? What does that tell you? These guys are not genuine. These guys are not concerned about this country, because I'm sure there is something they can do. And especially with the cost of living. Wangetudanganyilia tu watuambie nao mafuta acha ifike bei kidogo. You know, they know how to lower. Okay, they keep, you know, even I call it the government of fertilizer, because now anytime that there is a conversation of the cost of living, we talk about fertilizer. So kama new fertilizer we are eating for us to be full, so that at the end of it all we don't feel hungry. This government of fertilizers should change. Let them do what is necessary. And you see, Simba, one thing I know. Corruption is the key. If they close all the holes to the corruption, where the money goes for the country, I'm sure the cost of living would go down. But now, because they are the same, ninguo tu amebadilisha, yeah, because you can see the whole government are the same, almost the same people who were there before. They're the same people that knows how corruption goes around. They are the same corrupt people that are in the government. So they have removed the cloth of what do you call the Jubilee, and they have put in the KK dress. And I believe that is the worst. And we have no hope about it. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes.
They should work and see what they promised Kenyans. It is a whole 1 year gone. They should not just be giving us stories.
Yes.
We are tired of the stories. let them do something.
Yes.
If you go to Tanzania and Uganda, you realize so many of the things are not expensive. Why? And you know Kenya is a star. Even with the people out there, like other countries, they feel in Africa, I would want to come to Kenya. Why? Because this is a rich country. But some people want to make it poor. Some people want to have it for themselves, and they have no concern for the country. And I repeat again, can they go and touch that button and things go down? Because some people, every day, my friend, do you know how many people call me? In a day, Lydia, I just want unga, peke yake, hata nisikule na mboga.
Yeah.
People keep calling, I am having this, I have no school fees, I have no this. And you know, at least at this time, we are supposed even to be talking of free education. And especially primary, high school. University, they are trying to change, I don't know, to dress up the help. I don't know how they are trying to make it that they want to remove the hair, but they want to call it another name, and they want to make it more difficult for the students to get the money, you know, to get education. I'm telling you, it is a mess. They should think about it twice. And let me tell you, everybody in this life strives to live. And the things that make us live, they are food,
yes,
good hospitals. Those are the priorities, and the education. But when you try to interfere with a system that was going on so well, you see now with the medical issue, we still have the issues of those cards. And they were going on well. Let me tell you, women used to go to hospital and give birth for free with the former government.
Yes.
What has changed? That you're trying to like twist the whole thing, yeah? To make it is free, and it's not free, and people are complaining. So this government, I'm not so much against, but I'm feeling so bad when they're expressing things that are not there. Yes. And they're trying to, you know, they're trying to rebrand. It's just, they're trying to rebrand, but at Kenyan's cost. Because now if the help, if they know that the help helps the student, they need the students. And then you come and bring some complication with the help, such that even, you know, it's like they're bringing in corruption in that, such that even the students are not able to get what they used to get. And you know, we know very well, even from the families, you know, the humble families, they were being told, well, Soma, at least university, you know those people, the parents had great faith with the university.
Yes.
And it's like, my daughter or my son is in the University of Nairobi, you get so excited because this University of Nairobi just need your marks, just for you to be there. Then there is our government here which gives us help for the students to study. Then they will pay the help when they finish the school and they get jobs. Don't you think that was the best thing for the poor? But now, the people who call me, mtoto wangu ameitwa university, siji kunaenda nini, kunaambiwa nini. I'm like, now what is all this? And you see the problem with this government, they are talking too much.
Yes.
You know, if you have an office and someone talks too much, you realize that that person does not perform. Kila saa ni kelele, so and so, nini. There's no performance in that person. Most likely, the person who is very quiet is the person who performs. I was employed in a place one time, and you know, okay, I've been very quiet, by the way, until I got into politics. I was very, very quiet.
Yes.
Very Christian, good girl, quiet.
Yes.
And there's another girl who was so louding, and could go and tell the boss, now you know what, Lydia doesn't do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And one day the boss called me. And you know, I think, Lydia, you are a quiet person. Well, how come you have not done your filing? You know, those are the days that we didn't have the digital. So, kila kitu, kama ni all the files, you take it to the file and file physically, you know. So I used to go very early at 7 in the morning, na watu watakuja 8:39, I've already done my filing and I'm done with the job. And you know, she would say that. She was thinking I am hiding the unfiled in my drawers. So when the boss called me and Lydia, what is happening? He told me I've done everything to zero. Are you sure? Yes. Do you know that lady was sacked? Why? Because me, I was quiet but doing my work. I come early, so you'll not find me at the cabinet filing because I've already done the work. Yes. So this government of ours, mdomo iko juu sana. Wapunguze mdomo na wapunguze the expenses of the country and people move on. Now wajue, I know they're eating big there, but there is somebody down there who is suffering. Yes. I'm always at the ground, you know, I'm interacting with people. Like yesterday, another lady called me, "Hey Lydia, my school watoto hana chakula. Nitumia hata unga moja." Sasa anashindwa hata hiyo unga moja na ni watoto kama 30. Is that enough for one unga? What does that person want to tell you? Na ananipigia lunch akaniambia, "I have not given them lunch, so you can send me." And it is true. I went there. Those people had not eaten. So, you know, I feel very bad. The country should make sure that people, food-wise, they are okay with that. But they should also remember we are not eating the fertilizer. Hata kama inasaidia huko, it should not be a story of every day. Kama la fertilizer mlipeana last year, why are you telling about the fertilizer today? Let us see the product of the fertilizer and other things that you're doing, but don't keep on telling us fertilizer. One is it is the only thing that people need. So what I'm trying to say, let them shut their mouth and do the work. Na wacha kukutuestia time huko, bombers of Kenya. They should not. Yes. Because they're wasting our time. Yes. And they are playing around with our minds. And let them work. Si walishinda na wako na kiti. And they feel great about it. They should not keep telling us the nonsense that they are telling us. Yes. They should start working. Na wale wafanyi kazi, sasa niliona the cabinet is there, anyway, let them work.
Pretty much.
And give them food.
Just what we take a sunny breather right here on the morning drift. Once we come back, Danton is already in the studio, going to join us shortly. And once we come back, then we're going to open with that story then that Ian Keitani looked at on the jitters that have been expressed by leaders in the country on whether the committee at the Bombers of Kenya will be able to go through all the submissions that various lobby groups in the country have made, and Kenyans as well, within the next 44 days. For those who are counting, tomorrow will be 43 days once we come back.
Realize your home ownership dream by investing in Brookvale Tuala, a magnificent prime residential property located in Ongata Rongai. Brookvale Tuala by Safaricom Investment Cooperative overlooks the majestic Ngong Hills and lies only 24 kilometers from Nairobi CBD. The project boasts of well-serviced plots with a perimeter wall, graded roads and a borehole. 50 by 100 plots are going for 1.4 million shillings with a flexible payment plan of up to 6 months. To book your plot, call 0729 121212 today. Safaricom Investment Cooperative, the investment partner of choice.
So the story we're telling today is a story of passion in practice that grows into business.
We have partnered with the Youth Fund, talk to as many youth as possible and work with them, hold their hand.
It is an expose of captains who have decided to take on challenges in different sectors and industries within the country.
My mentors had also not started as CEOs. They grew up and they showed me how they grew in the organizations. So that's what motivated me to actually do international business. And it was a good experience.
As an individual, support in bridging that care gap, part of me also to offer a solution. I want to leave this world a better place than I found it.
This is the Captain's Arena. My name is Simba Kiage. Welcome back to the Morning Drip. The question is whether the remaining 44 days are enough for the Dala Committee at the Bomas of Kenya to go through all the issues. And by the way, there have been already 142 submissions from the public so as to align the views with the 5-point agenda as agreed by the two opposing political factions. The team is confident that they will reach an agreement within the stipulated 60 days that the talks are supposed to happen. This is a story that was done by Ian Ketani. Let's take a look at that story, come back and continue with Danton and Lydia this morning.
The National Dialogue Committee now wants in the next 4 days the technical committee to align all submissions so as to be in sync with the agreed 5 points. A total of 155 submissions were received as of September, 121 of which were channeled via mail, 29 hand-delivered at the Parliament buildings, 5 at Bomas of Kenya with 13 double copy submissions.
So a total of 155 submissions that we have received, less what we call the double submissions, where you find they have submitted 2 copies, 13, so we have a total of 142 memoranda.
Sentiments echoed by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who reiterated that beginning Monday there will be critical discussions as the dialogue committee will be receiving technical committee reports from the memoranda by the public as they work around the clock to beat the timeline as agreed by the two houses.
We have decided to have the next sitting of the committee. Had you mentioned that? On Monday. The reason is simple. We don't want the country to get the feeling that we meet to adjourn every time. As you can see, dealing with 142 memoranda is quite a task. And we, immediately after this, the technical committees will go into session and do as much as they can, so that by the time we meet on Monday, it will be heavy engagement.
By the time the next session is happening on Monday next week, 18 out of 60 days will have lapsed.
The technical team is part of the work of this committee. Yes. So all we are saying is we allow them these few days to delve deep into the memoranda, while in fact allowing other Kenyans so we don't lock out anybody, so that when we meet on Monday, it will be serious engagement.
It remains a matter of time as political temperatures surrounding the dialogues continue to cause uproar, following constant remarks emanating from the opposing sides of the bipartisan talks.
The National Dialogue Committee has today met and revealed that it has received more than 155 submissions from the public and now says its technical committee is going to take a week more to review all the 155 submissions submitted to it. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv, at the Bomas of Kenya, Nairobi.
So those submissions, by the way, are from the public. So they've received 155 as of now, and they're saying that those submissions, by the way, might continue to come in. So when they look at all those submissions, as Cecily Mbariro was saying there, they now take them down to 142. Then there's a story that was done on the Standard this morning, saying that a couple of leaders are saying, well, 60 days is not enough because it's just now that the submissions have started coming in. And you can hear from Kalonzo Musyoka is that as from Monday onwards, there should be heavy deliberations on those submissions. So as it is right now, we do know that those days are essentially counting every single day. For those who are counting, it is 44. Tomorrow, 43. By the end of this week, you're talking of 41 to be exact. Is that enough? It's a good thing that Danton has joined us this morning. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you so much. How are you?
Happy to have you around. So let's begin like this. That if you look at the technicality of some of those issues, they're not a walk-in, walk-out. That indeed 60 days is not visible to go through 10 issues that are receiving submissions day in, day out. That because it's a negotiation, some leaders are saying the 60 days might essentially not be enough. And since there are talks anchored within law that the 60-day period essentially has to be met, then it might be all just but nothing at the end of the day?
My take on that,
yes.
You see, essentially, these talks, we want to see if these talks are basically going to bear anything in the first place. We've seen the deputy president in more than one occasion saying nothing much is going to come out of those talks. So which is not something we cannot just ignore.
Yeah.
And then again, from the side of the opposition, I'm also having a problem with them. I've quoted Stephen Kalonzo the other day in Western is saying, talking about counties, looking at the boundaries and etc. etc. The opposition is trying to see this as an opportunity for a constitutional moment.
Yes.
They are trying as much as possible to bring us to a constitutional moment, to bring constitutional reforms, which according to me is very premature to think about bringing about constitutional reforms. If these talks are to bore anything, then within those 60 days, even if they are not to bring all the changes that have been proposed, all the 10 agendas, then they should bring us something. And then say within these 60 days, this is what we have done. We have created the office of the opposition. We have approved, I don't know, NG, CDF, blah, 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 blah. Say, we have done this. Now, we need more time to do this. But now, 20 days later, 20 days into the talks, nothing much. There's nothing to show for it. So, we might take 3 years, 10 years, 15 years, but if we are not objective to find solutions and be objective enough to get results out of it, there is not enough time at any given time. Yeah.
Just before I cross over to Lydia, that some of the issues are easy because then it won't take a lot of tinkering for them to have a way in. The creation of the office of the opposition, that majority of the leaders feel it's a thing that we would accept as it is right now, but then maybe the specifics of how the office of the opposition is going to look like, that is what essentially might take time. On the issue of the entrenchment of the CDF kitty to the members of parliament, some people feel that might not take some time on it, because indeed, while all the members of parliament from both ends feel that that's something that should be controlling, fine. Maybe how is exactly what they're going to tinker. But then, when you look at some other issues, Danton, which essentially now we're talking about everything, because the opposition went in and said, well, we have our issues and these are the ones. The cost of living, proper representation and inclusion in national government running affairs, and also the stopping of the encroachment of political parties in this country. As we speak right now, ODM is quite stern about it. They've already suspended a couple of members of parliament from their party, essentially setting the stage for what might be the outcome of those negotiations at the Bomas of Kenya. Some leaders are looking at these issues and saying, this, which is essentially what has taken us to the talks, might take forever or might not have a solution as it is. Case in point, the cost of living. I mean, to date, the government is quite specific on it. They're saying, well, we have a plan. We're not going to talk about it. So how is it that we sit here and imagine that that particular committee is going to sit and say, this is exactly what we want you to do on the cost of living within the next 2 days? Is that visible, Danton, from where you're coming from this morning?
Okay. You see, you cannot sit down in a boardroom and possibly say things or imaginations or whatever things that in your head that are going to bring the cost of living down.
Yes.
The government has asked the opposition not once, what options, what alternatives do you have to our manifesto? What alternatives do you have to your finance bill? What alternatives do you have to bring down the cost of living? They have all shunned out of it. None of them is coming to say, you have said this is how we are going to do it, but don't do this, instead do this. None of them have come to with a memorandum, yes. Even the excess of 100 memorandums, none of them are saying do this to bring the cost of living. All of them are saying police, I don't know what, let the Inspector General of Police make a public apology, I don't know, IPOA do this and that. None of them is talking about the cost of living, which is basically so essential, which is the backbone of the protests of Azimio, because without that article of cost of living, none of us citizens will be thinking about Azimio. So they have used it as a backbone to tickle, to provoke the Mwananchi into thinking that these people actually care about us, so let's go out in the streets. They don't care about that. Now, like you said, some of these objectives are bigger than just having a conversations. They could take longer. Some of these objectives are constitutional. Some of these objectives cannot be solved in a boardroom by members that are non-parliamentary. Like, we have two members in each side who are, I don't want to say common people, but they are non-governmental or they are non-parliamentary representatives. So they cannot make decisions on behalf of the electorates, because they are not selected by they are not elected by the people to make decisions on behalf of them. We have elected people. We have elected the presidency. We have elected both the upper house and the lower house to do that for us. So in fact, the whole idea of having this dialogue, of course, it's just totally unconstitutional. That's why the government tried to go around to make it a little bit legal by bringing parliament to approve this national dialogue, because they know it is illegal. Okay, so whatever comes, it has to go back to be lawful again, because Umtata will come again. We know Ukia Umtata will come again and go to court and say, we have created the office of the opposition leader illegally. We have created the office of the cabinet secretary illegally. It's not the mandate of a national dialogue to approve or disapprove or bring recommendations about CDF. It's out of mandate at all.
Lydia, I'll be coming back to you on where we are then, in as much as these talks are concerned, because these leaders are saying maybe time is where the bait is. That indeed, since it's anchored within law, and by the way, if you look at the basis of these talks, they're saying within 60 days that we need to have a draft that we're going to rely upon then to anchor it within law. 60 days. Yes. Yes.
The government does not necessarily want something to come out of these talks. The reason as to why government had to come down and allow these talks was because the protests had far gone. It was now becoming tiresome and hectic and a nuisance to the public and to the delivery of service of the government.
Yes.
So the government was like, okay, you want us to talk? Okay, let's sit down. Let's just talk. Let's see how it goes. But it's not like they want something so tangible. They don't want to lose anything.
Yeah.
They just want to win. And if you get yourself in a situation where you just want to win, don't want to lose anything, then you don't expect much of results.
Does that? Lydia, this is the thinking. I do not know whether it's all right for us to start asking these questions right now, because you can hear Danton is already making a complete analysis of this conversation. You see, we decided to go to the route of let's anchor these conversations within law. We went to the Senate House, we went to the National House. Then they said, well, we've approved that particular motion. What we're saying that whatever it is that you guys are going to talk about, well, it's going to be anchored within law. Good. But that means that we have to respect that constitution that we put in place for these talks to go on. And we said within 60 days, we're going to sit down and deliberate on these issues. But then something came out of these talks, that the government came up with their own issues that they wanted the Azimio coalition to also talk about in that particular sitting. Well, the entrenchment of the city of Kitty, the members of parliament, also the starting of the office of the opposition leader, and also enabling for the constitution to allow for the office of the cabinet secretary, that's the prime CS. But then if you look at the issues of the Azimio coalition, and maybe you can help us understand, auditing of the 2022 general elections, not one, not twice, but severally, has the president said, well, do not essentially talk about this. We are done and dusted. We went through a democratic election. We won it, and everything was done and dusted. Cost of living. The president has come in and said, look here, I've got a plan. I've just started. So I'm not going to talk about the cost of living. But all of a sudden, these particular issues were allowed to go directly to those talks. So this is how it is now. That these two issues, when you look at them, they're not a walk in the park. That they're going to take time. That even about the audit of the 2022 general elections, the outcome of that audit is not even to what effect is it going to be, all right? The people are questioning it. So why do we have these issues that are essentially going to take time on this negotiation table, instead of then us talking about the issues that will not essentially eat up this time for these negotiations? How do you make sense of the government saying, well, let's go talk about all the issues, but we have 60 days. In fact, currently, we have 44 days left. But then, that's not it. We have over 100 submissions, documents and documents that we have to go through in the next 44 days.
Well, first of all, I want to highlight on what my brother has said.
Yes.
He has said that azimio, they have not come up with a solution of the high cost of living. And I want to tell him which is the platform. Utaenda na the solution and tell the president directly, this is what you can do. Do you think he will listen? Yeah, it's okay. The elected members are there. Mm-hmm. They will go and talk the solution at the bunge. Who will listen to them? You know, they are the people that are being watered down. I mean, what are you trying to tell us? We have the government. Okay, the president is so clear that I have a plan for the issues of cost of living.
Yes.
Yeah, which he does not want to disclose. He is doing some magic behind the curtain, and things will work out. That is my assumption. Maybe that is what he wants to do. But what I'm trying to say is this. There is no goodwill.
Is it from the Kenya Kwanza government?
From the Kenya Kwanza government. And let me tell you, you see this panel, they also don't want this thing to end very fast, because there is that sitting allowance that we are eating. So why should we finish very fast? Wacha tukae watu wasahau. You know, the issue is for people to forget. That is the whole thing I can see. There is no anything, even if they are given 10 years. He has said the same.
Yes.
They will not solve anything.
Yes.
So at the end of it all, it's a kind of a waste of time that was put aside. Let those people, because, okay, the azimio, your people are there. KK, your people are there. So nyamazeni, those people will talk. But the result is already with them. We know that it will not bear fruits. We are getting the results, as he has said from the deputy president. He's telling us so clearly. He's telling us that Baba and Ruto were in Mombasa, and he was given what he wanted. You know, that is what is. So what is the talk for? At the end of it all, there is nothing that is making sense there. Whatever they gave to Baba, as they're saying, that is what they feel is the whole thing about the talk. Sisi tulimalizana na Baba wapi? Mombasa. So there is nothing we can talk about. But I would wish they can be genuine, tackle the issues. As he has said very well, they take the issue of cost of living, they finish up with it. Let them not just talk about, we cannot finish all those cases within this time. Can you tell us, we started our meeting 20 days ago, and this is what we have done. Kwa hii issue, we have reached there. They work on the issues systematically. But because there is no willingness, that is the reason even why the most important people in the meeting will miss. And at the end of it all, what can you pass without this guy being there as the main leader of the KK government, who was not in? So at the end of it all, I know it's a waste of time. They are trying to play around with our minds as Kenyans, and you know, and at the end of the day, they know the result. And they have told us very well, the result is in Mombasa, where they finished with Baba. You know, when you tell me like that and you are telling me we are at the Bomas of Kenya trying to look at into these things, you're not making sense.
Yes.
Then, if it is the issue of kufungua server, if it cannot even take a day, one day. The server is here to fungue. You have seen, we won. But I don't want to go there because even me, I've given up so much on the same. Eh? So if it is server, it is what? Yes. What they can only do is bring up the BBI. Waseme, we are very sorry. We watered down the BBI. We have come to tell you we are sorry, and we want to continue with this because this BBI had the issues of opposition. They had this, and sasa tunataka mpitishe hiyo. That is what they could be telling us, instead of wasting that time at the bombers, knowing that fully they are doing nothing. Actually, they are eating Kenyans' money there. Hizo pesa waachane nazo, wapatie watoto wakule, give needy families, and we move on. Let them bring the BBI, because they want to have the cabinet, whatever, that seat that they are looking forward to. It was there, I believe, in the BBI. Yes. Let them bring the BBI and apologize to the Kenyans. Anyway, it was about politics. That is the reason why we did not do 1, 2, 3, and now we are very sorry. Now we are here. Then the cost of living, wakuja waseme, yes, things are hard. It is all over. So let us do this. Give us time to see whether this and this will work, because the button that we thought we are going to just touch after putting down the Bible, we did not find it, and it was just politics. They come up so clear. Watuambie it was about politics, and now hata nyinyi watu wa opposition tusaidieni. But you don't have to kujipiga kifua. You are talking about this is what we are going to do. Now you are telling us you have a solution, but you are not going to share. I have this secret of how I will make the government or the cost of living come down, but let me not share it. But you have a big mouth of talking about other things and not even doing anything. What I'm saying is, let them apologize to the Kenyans. Naambie, this is the situation, this is what we realized, and we are very sorry. It was just about...
Yes.
Yeah, you know, when somebody wrongs you and comes and tell you, I'm very sorry because of this. By the way, you easily forget what that person did.
Do you believe that Raila Amolo Odinga and his team at the Bomas of Kenya would come out of the Bomas of Kenya negotiations and say, you see that issue for the cost of living, you see that issue for the audit of the 2022 elections, which is the main reason as well we took to the streets, we didn't find a solution for it. Is that plausible, Lydia, now? That after 60 days they will come in and say, guys, we can do it.
Well, I don't think it is possible, because, you know, no one wants to be defeated. Maybe when they realize that the talks are not going so well, watarusha mkono. Actually, that is what I'm expecting, that they will fight inside there. There will be battles inside there, and this will come out furious, and the other ones will come out furious, and waseme, there is nothing. And there is nothing we'll do anyway. They have the government, they have everything. So at the end of it, hata watu situambie about that bombers thing. Let them do what is necessary. Cost of living, hizo mambo ziendelee. If they want to have a referendum for changes of many things, like now, the issues of elections, you know, they come up with something, they bring the BBI on table, they call it any other name, watoe BBI, because maybe that is a problem, and baptize this another name and waweke kwa nini. Maybe they come up with the changes that even the president 10 years ni kidogo, we could have done the ABCD. Let them do it and we move on, because at the end of the day they are wasting our time and they are just playing with our minds as Kenyans.
Danton, I like how you both, despite the different end that you're coming from, is that you're doubting the true sincerity of these talks at the Bomas of Kenya. It's a good thing. That's why you guys tend to agree, despite your different views on what both ends want in this. But then, Danton, I want to ask you this, the same question that I put to Lydia. the Raila Amolo Odinga took Kenyans to the street because of the cost of living. In fact, if you do remember, the demonstrations towards the end were not even about the IEBC servers or the 2022 general election results. It was like, this country is become unbearable to live in. So we got to push the government to bring down the cost of living. It was on the back of the passing of the Finance Bill 2023, which essentially is now an act, and majority of those taxes are coming into place this September as well. Do you think that in essence, that Kalonzo Musyoka and Raila Amolo Odinga would come out of these negotiations and say, guys, you see on the cost of living, we couldn't do it. On the auditing of the 2022 general elections, which is why we took you to the street and we've been saying that Ruto is illegitimately in government, we couldn't do it. But then we were able to create the office of the opposition. We're also able to to stop the government from essentially eating into the political parties in the country. Now, guys, that is exactly what we were able to do. Is that plausible from where you seated, that Raila Amolo Odinga will come in and announce that, wow, this is exactly what we're able to do?
You see, it could come to that, eh?
Is it?
It could come to that, because right now there is no harmony in Azimio. See, the other day, you see, the leader of this team of Azimio in this dialogue panel is not someone you can untap. The same person who is negotiating for all these things is seen in State House dining with the president. He's quoted by the media saying we now officially recognize Ruto as president. You see, now that lack of harmony, and then you see we hear Martha Karua, you know, as Martha Karua has disappeared. He's not in the dialogue, he's not with Raila Odinga, he's just nowhere to be seen. Yes. Essentially. Yes. So it could come there, but this is what I can foresee. There's going to be a split in the talks, because from the government side, government wants to, I want to assume the government wants to achieve only two things from those talks. One, they want to entrench, to establish the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, for a good reason. From how they established the government, they don't want to come to a point where that seat is abolished or declared unconstitutional and things like those, because they are looking at 2027.
That's it.
They want to establish the office of the official opposition. As much as it might appear controversial, it is a very good score. Establishing the office of the opposition means the leader of opposition is going to sit in parliament. Is going to deliberate on issues inside the National Assembly. The leader of opposition is going to sit on the taxpayers' money, be financed by the same government that is opposing. How easy is it to sabotage someone you are funding? Very easy. So if the office of the opposition will be running by monies allocated by the same executive that it is opposing, it can sabotage it at any given time. That is what the opposition wants. It's not an issue we want to be oversighted, we want to be open, we want to be criticized well. Who wants to be criticized when the issues that are things that we can solve already are a big burden to the government? How easy is it going to have Raila Odinga as an official opposition? How easy is it going to be to run a government? It's not easy. If the opposition, if the government will allow the other side to get these two things running, then that will be done. That will be it for them. They don't these things of CDF, I don't know what. Those are just adding on the points to make them 5.
Yes. But then in this negotiation, remember, Danton, we're calling it a negotiation. In this negotiation, what do they give the opposition, which has called them to this negotiation?
The opposition, office of the opposition. That's the only thing they're giving them.
Is that enough?
They're telling them we are going to give you money.
Yes.
You see, this thing did not start today.
Yes.
When the president came into power, he said the former government was giving monies to political parties. Now we have a budget for that. All political parties that have elected leaders are going to get budgets. And you remember how controversial that was. UDA was getting, I don't know, almost close to $1 billion, I don't know what. And then that was not enough. The president started saying over and over again, I want to establish the office of the official opposition. Okay, and he dragged it all along until to the National Dialogue Committee. That is what they are trying to offer them. Okay, nothing else. All these other things are for the government to benefit. All these other agendas that the opposition side has put inside that dialogue committee don't carry much weight because there are no direct solutions to them. Because what will be the solution of the cost of living? If the government wants to establish something in that sense, they'll just come and say, okay, we have a plan. We did not want to talk about it, but this is what we want to do, okay? We produced the finance bill. It has passed. The High Court has also, let it go. Now, the finance bill says A, B, C, and D. In the executive, we have this and this and this policy, which we believe is going to work. Do you have an alternative? No, we don't. So this is what. So essentially, there is no clear. You see, like I was saying,
not even
these objectives.
Yes.
Some of them are straightforward. Some of them you can just create theories and not solutions.
Yes.
If you want to entrench the office of the cabinet secretary, then you just establish it, and that's it. But if you want to reduce the cost of living, there is no direct solution.
Is it true that indeed now, it might not happen now, Lydia, that the opposition is also looking and saying, guys, there is something that we promised our supporters before going to the streets. I mean, it was either on the audit of the 2022 general elections, which, as we do know, that even if it was audited today, there's essentially nowhere we can take that. Number two, on the cost of living as well. They also have other issues on representation, which might be solved by creating the office of the opposition. We're also looking at stopping the government from essentially eating into political parties in the country. We don't know what solution that might come around that particular area. But on those two, which were essentially, when you look at it, that's where majority of our support comes from. The audit of the 2022 general elections and on the cost of living. Are we going to sit here and then say that indeed they would walk out without even coming up with a solution? Not now, even in the next financial year, Lydia.
Before Lydia comes in,
yes, Dante.
I would like to interrupt just a minute.
Yes.
I would like to say this. The backbone of the Azimio protests were this opening of the servers and the cost of living.
And the cost of living.
Okay,
yes.
That was the backbone. They cannot come back to the people without solutions to those two. Especially the cost of living. But at what point will they willingly ignore those two? They will willingly ignore this if what exactly deep down inside their heart they want to achieve. Out of all these negotiations, there is what at heart they want to achieve,
Danton,
and not the cost of living. It's not the cost of living.
What is it that they really want to achieve?
We all know politicians.
What is it
they don't even understand what the cost of living is doing to Kenyans right now.
Is it not easy? Is it
it's
not
just
easy?
Selfish of them.
Yes.
Because I said this before. If the president comes out today and tells the opposition, okay, look, what do you want? What do you want to end all these theaters? Then the opposition says, okay, give us 7 cabinet secretaries, then we can change the constitution and create A, B, C, and D. The cost of living will be forgotten. They will not come to the streets and tell Kenyans the cost of living is high, because now the president has told them, some of these cabinet secretaries are not performing, so I'll just reshuffle and dismiss some others, and then you'll give me a few others, and then that's what they'll get, and then after that they will not mention it. They will just never mention it again.
Lydia, would it be detrimental, and I'm saying that, would it be detrimental to the opposition to take Kenyans to the streets? Majority of Kenyans died, properties were destroyed. And then after 60 days, most people think it's very far. It's not very far. It's just, but next month, come out and say, we were not able to talk about the cost of living. But then we've been able to secure positions in government. Politically speaking, won't that be the worst move that Raila Amolo Odinga and his team shall have made?
Yeah, it would have been worse. And as a politician, I know most of these people, they have their own interests.
Yes.
And what I'm foreseeing is that these guys will just disagree before the 60th day. They will just disagree. Now I want to make noise, but maybe they would have achieved something that they wanted. As politicians, that is how I can view it. Yeah? They started genuinely, but you see, at the end of it all, if they are offered something, they might end up like Kalonzo. Yeah? He might end up saying, now, I did not manage, but he got his share. And now, maybe Baba will blame the team. They have not worked as he wished. So at the end of it all, Baba will get off the whole issue and put blame on the people who are in the panel. So I think this is a bush where people are just trying to get their way out somehow. I know from the word go, Baba was a bit genuine when he talked of cost of living. But I think with the time, and that is why these people want to take more time, with the time, a sweeter thing goes down and becomes nothing.
Yes.
And that is what the KK government want. They are like playing around with the minds of our azimio people.
Yes.
And at the end of it all, they just want to waste time. Na hata mimi, the way I was in last year September, there was so no, it was stolen, it was taken. It's not the way I am today. I realized, okay, now what do? They have the government. Life is going on with them. It's so human. When something takes a lot of time, even in your heart you go down. The fire that we had from the beginning is no longer there because these people have tried in one way or the other to waste the time. To waste our time so that we get off that issue. Time heals. So we feel like, okay, now what do? Okay, there are talks. They created a kind of a talk so that they divert our minds. And Kenyans, the minds are diverted. And even if it will, I don't think, even I don't foresee it bearing any fruits. But at the end of it all, it will be, we are just wasted. So what I would say in my position, let the government work on the issues of cost of living. Even forget about the servers and what have you. Work on the cost of living, take care of the Kenyans. Because the most important people here are Kenyans. People should not sleep hungry in their own country. Mm-hmm. You understand? Yeah. That is now my perspective. I don't want to think about those talks because I know from the beginning it's a waste of time and it has been assured to us.
What would be the reaction of Kenyans when they realize that the cost of living was essentially not an agenda item in these negotiations, Lydia?
Well, I'm feeling it was an agenda that has been watered down.
Yes.
That is my assumption. Mm-hmm. It was an agenda and a very serious one.
Yes.
But some people somewhere, mm-hmm. they have watered it down mm-hmm. to make it very useless.
That's the same thing. That's the same question that I wanted to put to Danto. Mm-hmm. That in the cost of living conversation, we're not just talking about now, that in a negotiation table, because then the Azimio coalition might want to come up with something out of that table to their supporters, by the way, which is either the auditing of the 2022 elections or reducing the cost of living. There's a flurry of taxes that have been introduced in the Finance Act 2023. Why are we refusing to think that maybe one point that the opposition might want to touch on is what will be the finance bill of 2024, where they will say, you see, this tax, especially on fuel in the country, take that 8% off, look for somewhere else, so that we take these agenda item to our supporters, because that's how we came to the negotiation table. Is that imaginable, Lydia, from where you're sitting?
I think, I'm wondering what this government is thinking. I don't know, but my wish is they can take the cost of living seriously, because it's not something to play around with. It is not something, I've seen like somebody like Sakaja, they have increased the rent. Yeah? You increase rent, people will not do business. People will leave business, because if you cannot be able to afford a rent for your shop or something, that's another thing. Yeah. So I don't know why these guys are not concentrating on, this is part of cost of living. It doesn't mean just food. It means, where do I get food? When I have a shop, I'm able to get my living from that shop. So if you increase my rent, what are you telling me? You're stealing the cry that we are trying to say that Bomas is talking about there, and the people down here, the leaders, yeah, they are making it more worse. Yeah. You understand? I don't know why they can't have the patience of just waiting, even if they don't reduce the cost of living, but leave it at where it is. Because if yesterday the cost of living was at that point, yes, but my rent was 7,000, and today you make it 8,000, are you really helping me as a Kenyan? Yes. So I think there is a lot of selfishness here, and people should stop playing around with the Wananchi, yes, with the Wanjiko. They should stop playing around with okay, I don't know, with the opposition. Okay, I've attended the meetings and they passionately talk about it, but I believe it has been watered down. At the end of it all, yes, I mean, these are the people with power. Even if they are going for that meeting, KK, they have the say at the end of it all. And that is the reason why they want to show people we still don't have enough time to tackle these issues, because they know tukiongeza another 3 months, people will forget even there is that bonus going on. So not even the issues that come, even the inquiries that come in, and you from the word go you are listening, and then at a point you don't even want to know what is happening within that kind of inquiry. You understand? Those meetings that they come in together and try to sort issues out. Yeah. It's the same thing. They just want to prolong it just to make sure that it doesn't bear fruits.
Here's a question that we're asking you. Do you believe that all the issues that particular committee at the Bomas of Kenya is facing will be sorted in the next 60 days? Talk to us at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. Once we come back, Danton, Lydia, and I are then essentially going to look into a particular of those issues. By the way, read your comments on exactly what you think the direction is going to be once the 60 days lapse, and the true face of that document that the committee is going to release. But even on the back of that, there are some sentiments that have been made by both sides. One, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has been quoted addressing the president on his sentiments on the ongoing talks at the Bomas of Kenya. And Raila Amolo Odinga is also speaking about them. Once we come back, we weigh in on some of those happenings.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
Upande wa Ilpolei tumepata kiangazi muda mrefu sana. Ng'ombe zimekufa.
Today we are in Ilpolei in Laikipia North, and guess what? We're here with Loto Foundation. We're ready to give food to the community. Leo ni njema kabisa.
Asante sana.
Munasema asante.
Tunarudi tena tuletee. Asante, Mungu awabariki na tukumbike kesho kutu.
Every time you play Lotto, 25% goes to the Lotto Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
Here's the thing. Even as the talks go on, there are talks about the ongoing talks. Now let's make it clear. There are 3 men who've been on the front line of these negotiations. You will say Raila Amolo Odinga, President Dr. William Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua, and Kalonzo Musyoka, essentially to be 4 of them that have essentially been speaking heavily about the ongoing process at the Bomas of Kenya. Even as we do know, it's just 44 days left for that committee then to come and give Kenyans a draft that we're going to rely on. Now, let's see what people have been talking about it. Danton, can you help us make sense? Just before we want to break, I was asking you about why the people around the president just can't shut up. Here is a process that's going on at the Bomas of Kenya. It's gone to Parliament, it's gone to the Senate. They've already spoken about it, and the president has approved it. Then a deputy president gets the president in a sitting and addresses him about a decision that the president has made. Case in point, Rigathi Gachagua is saying they do not agree within the party on the decision of the president allowing that particular committee at the Bomas of Kenya to talk about the auditing of the 2022 general elections. But then he goes right ahead to say, but since you're the president, what can we do? We just have to accept. Should the president at least tell his boys, for lack of a better word, just shut up, let that process essentially take its due course?
Okay, this is what I wanted to say. In any union, even in marriage, there's always going to be some collateral damage. There's always going to be some sacrificial lamb. There's always going to be someone who is going to be negatively affected from the outcome of it.
Yes.
If we go back in time during the handshake, once that union came, you see the collateral damage setting almost immediately.
Yes.
Because it was clear that the president went out of his way because he knew if I want to convince my own deputy president then, my own party that I want to sit down with the opposition and speak with them and agree, they would not let him do that. So that's why we just woke up one day and found them shaking hands outside Harambee. Okay? But now, the president we have now just comes out clear and tell them, look, I'm the president and I don't like things the way things are going. So let's just do this. Just trust me on this and then we'll see how it goes. Okay? So the fear is if there is going to be something agreeable out of those talks, who is going to lose? Because someone must lose. We have to give way so that other people come in. So who wants to give way? Okay, the way Rigathi Gachagua is very aggressive is because he knows he's already ripped off some of his powers by the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Yes.
Okay, he tried to come on top of it, but it did not quite work. fact, it's only in the recent days that I'm seeing Rigathi Gachagua traveling outside in 1 or 2 meetings just to feel like a deputy president. But you see, we've seen Mudavadi do that quite a lot. Okay, so now when we have the opposition coming out to eat in the same plate as we are eating, it means some of our benefits, some of our powers, some of our mandates are going to be ripped off. Okay, and we are depending on the same powers and privileges and all whatever is in the platter to go back to our people and tell them, look, this is what we have done. Now we have come back again in 2027. Let's do this. If Rigathi Gachagua slips on his job, because essentially I think his job is just to fight the opposition, if he loses on that, he will not have a face to go back to Mount Kenya and tell them, okay, look, I'm your kingpin. I've done this as the deputy president, so you know, let's negotiate or let's go for the presidency or what. Will not have a face for that. That's why we'll not support it. Okay, and then there is the fear of having the 2027 presidency in mind. If we have the opposition come together now with the government, isn't there possibility of a coalition with the same opposition in 2027?
Yes.
If that opposition will take place, where are we going to leave that, I want to call it a caucus of the Ndindi Nyoros, of the Rigathi Gachaguas, of the Kimani Ichung'wah, of that caucus of leaders that believe the government is theirs to run? What then is to happen if that can be stopped, if that will not be stopped now? Because the earlier the better, so that's why they will not allow it to happen. Even if they're in the talks, they will not allow some things to stay in the way of them staying in power for as long as possible.
Lydia, I'll be coming back to you on that particular utterances for the deputy president, and then the impact that has, even if we're genuinely going to audit the 2022 general elections, the impact that has then on the ongoing conversations at the Bomas of Kenya, where that is a particular agenda item. So now, Kalonzo Musyoka, at a time when the opposition has entrusted him with the responsibility to carry out those negotiations, lead the team, stand steady in the demands, and you like to think that the cost of living is essentially what it should be pushing more, and the auditing of the 2022 general elections in one way or another, then Kalonzo Musyoka is seen with the president, and to the point that he has to come out and clarify what his statement meant to the media. At the time he came in and said, well, I didn't say now that I recognize the president, Ruto, as a legitimate president of this country. He said that this is exactly what I meant. When you look at that status quo, Lydia, should he be told, keep off as well until we are done? And what picture does it show to the Kenyans who are looking at Kalonzo Musyoka saying, well, Kalonzo Musyoka is representing me in that particular committee as the opposition, and I know it's going to probably push to bring down the cost of living?
Okay, my observation is, if this committee was not made up of these politicians, the well-known Kina Kalonzo and the rest, maybe some sober people who are, with Kalonzo, and when he speaks about that, and then the media is there, and we have the history that Kalonzo has been called watermelon. Is a time he is this side, the other time he is this side. So even me, when they chose that group as to represent the azimio, I think I was not very happy. Okay, he's a very senior politician, yes, but my worry is, will he be painted the same? Will it be a repeat of what we have had before? Because I'm thinking, if these talks were serious, I think that some serious guys should come up. Not the normal politicians that we know. Those people. There are those people who critically look at things in a very different way, not politically. But now the problem is when they bring such people there, even in our minds, we are thinking, this will be a repeat of the same thing. And when he uttered that, actually, it was very bad for azimio, and it has never been the same again. When the Kenya Kwanza brought in the Ishungwa, it's the same thing. You know, we are feeling this is not a serious issue. It's not a serious team that we can rely on. These are people who have talked out there, and they are not even keeping quiet. Even they're still talking about it. That is no result of this, you know. For me, those talks are not. I've said, well, if they're not going anywhere.
Yes.
And those, to me, they are the wrong people that were chosen to take up the nini. At the end of it all, we have lost it. I know, as he was asking who is losing, I know in the whole thing, Baba has lost it. That one I can clearly say that. He has lost it.
Would you say so?
I would say so.
Would you say so, Lydia, when the truthful man is saying, well, we were done with Baba a long time ago? That the analysis from outside now.
He has lost it in public.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know privately what they meant on that.
Yes.
But you see, when a rumor comes, there is some truth in it. But at the end of it all, we have lost it. Because what we could have done is to continue with a vigorous campaign and the maandamano on that issue. You better give it from the beginning, like 2 months of a serious, no, this is what we want, this is what we are looking forward to, and we are not going anywhere. But the moment he said, now, no, let's give Nini to the dialogue, that is the day he lost it.
Is it bad that within this period, the 60-day period, that we should be talking about Kalonzo being seen with the president, Lydia?
We have lost it. We are wasting time, my friend. We are wasting time. We are wasting time, and we are wasting resources. And somebody is enjoying the sitting allowance there every day for the next, how many months? 3 months.
Yeah.
And then it will be the same thing.
Danton,
I don't think.
Do you share the same sentiment? Yeah, that within this period, we should be seeing Kalonzo with the president.
You see, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga can lose on does not lose on anything. The only thing that man loses is the presidency. But all else, he has never lost. He has never lost as the opposition leader.
Yes.
He has never lost as the opposition leader. That's why his supporters, even if he comes back in 2027 and run for presidency, they will still vote for him.
Yes.
Because he has never in his history lost as the opposition leader. Even in this dialogue, if there is anyone who is not going to lose anything, is Raila Odinga.
Yes.
All the rest, all of them combined, are possibly going to lose.
Yes.
Especially these core principles, the former SG of Jubilee, the party leader of NAC, Kalonzo Musyoka, the three of them definitely are going to gain nothing out of the talks. Whether the talks are at the National Dialogue Committee or they are going to be other private talks, the three of them are going to get nothing because they are not a headache. They don't stress the president at all. Okay? And Kalonzo Musyoka knows that whether he's in opposition or in government, he does not give the president any goosebumps. He's just a person who is surviving on the mileage of Raila Odinga. Without Raila Odinga, those talks will not be there. Without Raila Odinga, no one cares what Kalonzo Musyoka says. What Kalonzo Musyoka says is controversial because he's with Raila Odinga. But Kalonzo Musyoka as a person, no statement that comes out of him is going to bring a confusion or what because it's Kalonzo Musyoka. No, it's just because it's associated with Raila Odinga.
Yes.
Then we can take it seriously. Okay, you're in the dialogue committee, you are leading the opposition in the dialogue. Then why are you sitting with someone, you're eating dinner with them and expecting that, you know, you're going to be aggressive to have your way out of the talks? Okay, because we both know you go to State House. I've gone to State House for dinner. You know, after the dinner, what you come back with brown envelopes and go home. And I'm just an ordinary citizen. What about the leaders? They definitely just come out heavy brown envelope and go home and then say, okay, I said the president, I recognize the president as the president, but you see, I did not say that. The only reason he's explaining is because there was a backlash from the other side, not because he cares for what he's going to say. So we don't care so much what Kalonzo Musyoka says.
Or does during this period.
Because
okay, Danton, if you don't care what he says, what he does then should worry you.
If we are to care, then as a person, I would care more about what Rigathi says than what Kalonzo says. Kalonzo is just careless. Okay? Careless in the sense he does not give much thought as to what he says. But what Rigathi says is never propaganda. Okay, he can be careless about saying things, but whenever he says something, if you look at it in depth, there is something within what he's saying. It's not mere propaganda or just dismissing talks. If he says the president and Raila Odinga talked, then there is a higher possibility they talked. So I would take Rigathi Gachagua serious at any given time. When Rigathi says, we in the party are not happy with this, it means the president is having quite some friction to have anything come out of those talks. If Rigathi says nothing is going to come out of those talks, this is the deputy president. This is the presidency saying. And you see, the president did not come to say, oh, disregard my deputy president, he said this, but the president didn't say anything about that. He let the president say, nothing is going to come out of those talks. What does that tell you? Whether the opposition is going to take it seriously or not, it's still the government to decide in their own discretion to say, okay, now we have talked and talked and talked and talked. Now you can have this, but all these other issues, we will deal with them. And nothing much that dialogue can do, because the government is the one financing the talks. They are giving them per diem and cards for fuel and all that. And essentially, the only solution to all these riots and the cost of living, there is only one solution. Just have Raila Odinga in your pocket, and it's all done. Everyone is happy. As the opposition says, if Baba is happy, everyone is happy.
Pretty much.
That's the basic.
Yes, I'll be coming back to you on that, because there's also another caveat, essentially, to what Rigathi Gachagua is saying. Lydia, now though, we might be saying that indeed Kalonzo Musyoka might not essentially be consequential in this particular conversations on exactly what he says or does, but there's one man who's been talking as well, who we should be taking serious, Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga has not recognized Ruto as the legitimate president. In fact, 3 weeks ago in Narok, actually 2 weeks ago in Narok, last weekend, this is what he's saying. Well, he's saying, no, this government is still illegitimate. And so we're going to prove to them that they are illegitimate once we audit those 2022 general elections. So we might be sitting here, lady, and saying, well, you see, we've already lost it. But when you listen to Raila Amolo Odinga, even did Rigathi then he's saying, well, they spoke, they did agree, then why would Raila Amolo Odinga then come around and still have the same pre-negotiation speak about Ruto's government? Why he's calling him illegitimate? Why he's still saying, we're going to take him out, we're going to show him that he's not essentially the president? Then aren't we reading this particular situation wrongly, in the sense of that Raila Amolo Odinga is still rooting for something very positive to come out of these negotiations, even as we say that we're just wasting time? But if you listen to him, he doesn't look like a man who's already given in. Lydia.
Yeah, what I would say, maybe he has not given in. And he has to remain relevant. By the end of it all, you want to tell me Raila Odinga knows that that thing will come out with anything?
I mean, all that we can do is listen to what he's saying.
No, he's trying to be strong, eh? That's what I'm feeling. he's trying to be strong, but I'm sure he knows also that there is nothing that is coming out of that. Because, as a leader, you don't want to look defeated. Because let me tell you, if today he calls people for maandamano, it might not be as strong as it was early last year. That is my feeling. Because even people have reached a point and like, okay. And for him, he will still stand strong to say that he didn't. You know, even if I say I don't recognize you as the president, and then you have given out a talk that is being washed away. What are you trying to say? I know he's standing strong and in his mind, and I'm this, but you know, Raila Odinga as himself is different from having the team. You know, the team, you know, when he calls for maandamano and nobody comes out, do you think he will stand strong? But when he calls maandamano and everybody is for him, that is what makes the difference. Mm-hmm. Yeah? If today he calls maandamano, will the people be as strong as they were last year? I don't think so. So he is still standing strong and hopeful, but down inside himself, he knows that maneno, it is done. That is my feeling. Because, you know, when you don't have the team, strong team, now as we go by, people are still flopping off. You know, they're getting out of the camp.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And people are not as strong as they were when we have the bad mandamanos that were there, I think the last weeks. If he calls mandamano today, I don't think it would be as effective as it was. So to my understanding, I wish he continued with it until what he's demanding is done. And I believe what he's demanding must not go through the talks. I know there is a way Ruto can work out some. Kama ni opening of the server. Si angewadanganyilia tu, let's open the server for them to be nini. And then maybe they had interfered with everything that was inside that server. And some, you know, but now, if you tell Ruto to open the server today, you are not making sense. Sahi. It will not, I mean, even if it will happen, maybe they are already interfered with. Because they have all the power and they have the country at hand. So what I'm trying to say is, though he's trying to stand strong, lakini hata yeye najua amechoka ndani yake. Inside, there is something that is going down. He is not as strong as he was before concerning those issues.
Yes.
So, and me, I don't see anything. Anyway, personally, I
see. I like how ladies like us.
Yeah, you know.
But then, because Danton, I don't know whether they're going to take the same approach that Lydia is giving it. Because how are we saying that those talks might be complete waste of time? How are we reading so much into what Rigathi Gachagua is saying when in reality, Raila Amolo Odinga is still the same Raila Amolo Odinga that we did see pre-negotiations, still calling this government illegitimate, still calling for the 2022 audit of the election results, still saying, well, we're going to show these guys that they're actually legitimately in government. Over the other side, we're saying, or Rigathi is saying, well, Baba and Ruto spoke, so whatever is going to come out of negotiations, nothing completely. Two questions that I want to put across to you. That if indeed, we're going to talk about the political continuity of Raila Amolo Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka and the likes of Martha Karua, or the entire Azimio coalition, or whatever name we want to call it in 2027, is that Raila Amolo Odinga has to make sure the majority of his top brass are still together with him. That in this political process of those negotiations at the Bomas of Kenya, Kalonzo Musyoka is still stuck with Raila Amolo Odinga because of 2027. And the rest of them as well. That he can't be bought out if indeed they want a chance in 2027. Are we reading so much into what Rigathi is saying? And number two, can Raila Amolo Odinga afford to just take his deal and move out?
Yeah, it is the easiest option for Raila to just buy the options, because I'm very sure he's been given some options, and I don't think the oppositions are as pricey as he might want them to be. That's why we are still having these talks. If a good deal is put to him on the table, as to what happened in 2018, you see, he used to call the Jubilee government illegitimate, the Jubilee government what have you.
Yes.
But immediately after the handshake, he never called out the government. And if at any point he did, he would do it so softly. He would say anything, but what is pretty much obvious, the cost of living is high, but you see it's not because of the government, it's because you see the deputy president is stealing from the government, you see it's because of the corona, I don't know what, it's because of this and this war, it's because of the global economics and what have you. He never directly called out the government and said, okay, you stole the government, you stole you stole power in 2017, he never did that. Because essentially he got what he wanted, and he was basically the only beneficiary of those talks. And this is what will happen if it will happen. And in fact, I foresee a situation where it will indeed happen. A pricey deal is going to come, and Raila Odinga will not think twice, but take that deal and forget all those people who fought for him, and forget all those people who were expelled from the parties and what to work with Raila. We'll forget about all those people who died in the streets so that he gets that deal. We'll forget about all of them. And we'll sit down and say, okay, I have retired from politics, I'm going back to Bondo, I'm old enough, now we can sit down and negotiate who comes after me. Or better still, it'll stay, you see now the government has given us an opportunity to work with them. We'll collaborate and make better lives, etc., etc. Either that's basically the only two scenarios that I can foresee after he accepts that deal. And it's not so far. That deal will come, and you'll accept it, and the talks will just be, hot air.
What do his close associates get? Because they have stuck with him now.
They have never gotten anything. Not in the Uhuru's government, not in the Kibaki's government, not in any other government that he has come through the opposition in the back door to serve in the same government that he has opposed in trials and trials and trials.
Going by just how politically ripe his associates are, Kalonzo Musyoka thinks he can run for president. Martha Karua thinks she can run for president. Do you think they would want to get out with nothing, Danton? Is that not why they're still with him? They've been offered.
They're also eagerly waiting for succession politics within Azimio. Okay? Back before the elections, we always thought that James Orengo was going to be a good candidate for succession of that side of the country to succeed Raila. But then Orengo disappeared somewhere in between. And then if you look at it now, it's like Opiyo Wandayi is being fronted as a possible successive person who is going to, but not Kalonzo Musyoka. Because we know the politics of our country. Our politics are basically regional and tribal. So if someone is to take the mantle from Raila Odinga, it's not someone from Ukambani. It's not someone from Mount Kenya. You cannot run the mantle of Raila Odinga from Mount Kenya. Those Luos or the western side of the country are not going to support you because Baba said. We have to be real to the fact that our politics in Kenya are regional and tribal. So if anyone is going to succeed Raila Odinga, it's not Kalonzo Musyoka, it's not Martha Karua. Okay, we are just going to have another leader from the same region, or at least from the same tribe, if not a brother or a child of Raila Odinga. To take the politics of Raila Odinga to maybe, if they will continue anyway, because I'm seeing a scenario where the Raila Odinga legacy will just die off with him. If he exits the stage, no one is willed enough, no one is strong enough, no one is aggressive enough as Raila Odinga, no one.
Yes, pretty much. We have 6 minutes left for this conversation. It's a good time then for me to go through some of the questions that I've got, by the way, that have come through directly to my line. Thank you very much for those who participated this morning. And I want to start like this. This is James. James is saying, Raila Amolo Odinga looks like a man who has a plan, that it will not walk out of these negotiations without one or two of his demands met. Lydia.
I was saying,
yes.
My assumption is before
yes.
the 60 days. And that is why they want to add more days so that they may waste more time. But I'm thinking before the end of the conversation,
yes,
these guys will crash. And then it's like Raila will look like the winner because he has decided not to entertain that.
Yes.
I mean, if there is nothing that is coming out, because, okay, the way they are going round and talking about these talks, and, you know, as my friend has said, it's a hot air or something. So they have to come up with something like a drama, yeah, for these talks to end without I mean, not in good terms. That is what I can foresee. Mm-hmm. And that one will make maybe Raila a winner. We have refused to talk because these people are not doing this, then the noise will go back again. That is what I'm predicting.
That's it.
Yeah, because now if it will end well, number one, I'm sure they will not open the server.
Yes.
Number two, they will not deal with the cost of living.
Yes.
As maybe that is the main agendas. So kutakuwa na kelele hivi and kurushiana maneno na.
Yes.
The noise will go on.
Pretty much. And
that's my assumption.
Yes. Danton, even as you get ready to respond to that, I want to read one comment here from Titus, watching from Kericho. Titus is saying, well, Raila Amolo Odinga cannot afford to drop his close associates, or else his political power would end before 2027.
No one is holding Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is the one holding them. If we consider the people Raila Odinga was running in 2027, none of them is there. Basically, all the core principles he had with CORD, the core principles he had with this other coalition, none of them are there. But Raila is still a force to reckon. So none of them is holding Raila. Raila is the one pulling them. Without Raila Odinga, there is no azimio.
That's it. All right. Now, how do you then, Lydia, respond to this? This is Neville Isaboke, who's saying that former Kakamega Governor Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya is being targeted by the Kenya Kwanza regime because he's poised to deputize Kalonzo Musyoka in the 2027 elections. So probably that's why we did see Kalonzo Musyoka and the president at State House to get the deal off.
Yeah, you know, Ruto is a seasoned politician.
As it.
And what I'm seeing he will do,
yes,
he will use the divide and rule. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want these people to have one mind.
Yes.
Because I can, when the mandamanos or the demonstrations were going on,
yeah,
you know, there was that unity in mind. And these guys were very much together. And he knows very well, if these guys continue to be together, they are a threat to him. So I'm sure he's working it hard to see that he separates them.
That's it.
And you
yes,
see, like now, Nani being the one who is leading with the talks,
yes,
he wants people to blame him, so that he want to. I mean, people will blame the Kalonzo if the things will not work. Kasema situlisema huyu ni mtu wa watermelon or something. So Ruto, you know, he sees very far. By the way, that guy is a seasoned politician, and he knows that the only thing you can do is to get these people of Azimio not being together.
Yes.
Na ndio unasikia even when they are talking about already Raila having his share. You know, that is putting these guys a bad heart. You know, nyinyi you are supporting this guy and already tumemwona kando. I think that he's a very clever person, and most likely that is what he's doing.
Yes.
So that he want to make sure that, you know, Kalonzo, I wouldn't, as my brother has said, say that Kalonzo is not a good politician. Huyo aliongeza kura nyingi sana in Azimio. That one I know. And you know, the Kambas are many also. They can bring a change in any name, and that is why Ruto was trying very much to see people from the Ukambani.
Yes.
He's still a person that you cannot ignore,
That's
the Kalonzo, yeah?
Yes.
And now what the Ruto want to do is to get their heads, to bring like a fight indirectly so that these people cannot be united. Kwa sababu, what I know, you see, Azimio, I mean, the elections were 50-50. They were there, and you know, they cannot ignore that these things were like 50-50. And you see with Uhuru, he foresaw that because he knew this guy is the people, you know, Raila has following. They don't want anything. This is our person and they follow. Now, he has always been a threat. You cannot ignore him. So even, I'm assuming even Uhuru thought, even this guy, even without Mount Kenya, he can win elections. Because, I mean, he's just there. And, you know, that there is nothing that you can change about that. And especially now that there is a lot of blame with the KK government. If Raila's team comes strongly, they will still defeat him in 2027.
Yes.
So he has to do something to make sure that he has Mio imesahaulika.
Yeah. Danton, just before you respond to that one, on why Kalonzo is a target man as well, that is stuck with Raila Amolo Odinga, knowing very well that it could be the next heir of that particular seat in 2027, and looking at some of the collaborations that they might get into. So that's why probably now Ruto would essentially want to have Kalonzo on its side, looking into 2027 politics. And that's why Raila Amolo Odinga cannot afford to drop Kalonzo Musyoka now, being among the big guys now who could potentially take that political journey for Raila Amolo Odinga beyond 2027.
You see,
yes,
the presidency is working so much behind doors.
Yes.
To create a chain of supporters in the strongholds of the other side. We've seen the president camping not once, not twice in the western region.
Yeah.
You've seen him launch a number of projects, big money projects in the western side and the Nyanza side, just to try to convince the electorates, that, Baba's time is right about out, and this is what you can get if you support the government. Okay, this is what he has essentially been doing. And in Ukambani, as we said, if the president has the whole of Rift Valley, if the president will take Kalonzo Musyoka from Ukambani and still buy at least half of the populace in Nyanza and Western through Mudavadi and these other Western leaders, then he does not need Mount Kenya. Those are the things that Rigathi Gachagua will not want to allow. We will want to make sure the president is going to depend on Mount Kenya for presidency, so that we'll have a buying clause or a bargaining chip. Okay, in case of whoever is going to inherit or take the mantle from Raila Odinga, I say it again that no one is strong enough, no one is willed enough. Raila Odinga is a passionate opposition leader. If you cannot oppose the government with passion, then you cannot fathom what Raila Odinga is as a person. That man is built differently. He's built for the aggressiveness that he wills by being an opposition leader, essentially. We have never seen his leadership. We've seen maybe him as an MP or a prime minister, but even as a prime minister, he had to now start opposing the government and saying the government is not giving me space to exercise my duties. I have no powers as a prime minister. My budget has been cut off. You know. So he did not survive, for so long. Just a few months after being prime minister, we started going into chaos, but it did not last for so long until we came to the election. So I would advise these people to hold their horses. Raila Odinga will die fighting for that seat.
That's it.
They'll just hold their horses and wait, or start their own factions and fight the president, but not Raila Odinga.
Yes. Lastly then, before we step out of the studio, there's this Otoma is essentially weighing in on why Rigathi Gachagua has been speaking heavily about the auditing of the 2020 general elections, to the point of even addressing the president. This is what he's saying. From his look of things, that Ndini Nyoro is trying to outsmart Rigathi Gachagua. Kimani Ichung'wah, Rigathi Gachagua, and Ndini Nyoro would not essentially be seen as people who like their political views. They might not be seeing eye to eye. And Rigathi Gachagua is afraid that come 2027, if he doesn't fight for his space, he might be overlooked. Do you agree, Lydia?
Yeah, I do agree. Very well. You know what? Rigathi Gachagua is being used by the president. And you see, with the Mount Kenya, I've gone around and you hear even the KK people, deputy anaongeanga sana. And they know very well that this guy is not, from the word go, the KK government, or rather the seniors, did not want Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
And now, instead of him trying to be now a leader, because when you listen to Gachagua, you'd think it's time for campaigns. You understand?
Yeah.
And people don't like that. People are, anytime you're telling us, it's like, now you are still campaigning, you are still taking us back there. So most of them are feeling that this guy is just a waste of time. He's just not doing what he's supposed to do, and he's just talking. Because number one, Gachagua ni kazi gani anafanya Mount Kenya? Only that the time that he goes there very early and start doing the walk and send the photo. Then he promised people rice and nini, and that is exactly what people got, So so this guy is being used. Yeah. And instead of him building the kingship of the Mount Kenya region, anytime that he speaks, hiyo kingpin yake inaenda chini. I'm assuming if he's a good leader, he's supposed to really work out for Mount Kenya. Make sure that things are in order, so that when people are like, now who will take the mantle, he will be there. In case, maybe Mount Kenya, we are a bit selfish. We want to feel that our person is there. You understand? So if this person that you are given is not up to the task, ati kazi yake tu ni mchele na nyama, na unajua ataenda hata aseme, if niliwaambia mtakuwa mnakuja hapa State House na mnakula, you will please a few, but wale watu ambao wanajielewa will not understand what you are talking about. So at the end of it all, he should be doing something that people will say, from the time Gachagua came in, this is what he has done, this is what he has done. He should focus on work and not fighting Raila.
That's it. You
understand? And Ruto is very happy when this guy is just talking, because even, unajua, the deputies are always ndio wanakuanga like, you are next competitor. As a president, if Gachagua is doing so well, even better than the president, people might think, hey, I think 2027 afadhali hata tuende kwa Gachagua. So in case Gachagua decides that now because of huyu hatuelewani, then I take the nini of the presidency, will he be able even to defeat Ruto?
Yeah.
But because he's being used, making noise, sisi as Mount Kenya region, I'm telling you the truth.
Yes.
We know that this guy is just making noise.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that is what we are seeing from that.
Danton, in 1 minute, do you believe that the only reason as to why Rigathi Gachagua is all over speaking about the agenda items of the bombers of Kenya is because he wants to essentially drum space for 2027?
You see, I would say the president, the current president, when he was deputy president, he set the bar so high as a deputy president, and Rigathi Gachagua cannot fit into the shoes of the deputy president that Ruto was.
Yeah.
As much as he would want to try, politically and in terms of administration, he cannot fit into the shoes. Okay,
Yeah.
so we can let him say and do whatever we do, but deep down in the minds of Kenyans, we know that if anything happens, then Rigathi Gachagua is not in the minds of Kenyans, that you cannot have a leader like Rigathi. Okay, I like Rigathi,
Yeah.
but I don't think he has what it takes to take where Kenya it is now to another level. I don't think. So I believe Mount Kenya shares the same thoughts as I do. That's why I would want to assume the careless, I would not say careless, but the let's say just the careless words that the deputy president once in a while throws around, says this and bashes that and bashes that,
Yes.
are trying to get into the minds of Kenyans, you know. But we are beyond that. We are not political right now. What we used to say during the politics cannot be heard as at now. We are off that stage. What we want to hear now is development, is projects, is money, is the cost of living, is the economy and all that. But the presidency, especially the deputy president, is not doing that. And I believe to some extent he's letting down the presidency, in the sense that they are not on the same page for most of the occasions. But my only question is, why is the president not calling out the deputy president?
It's a good question then to end our show this morning. Our guests have been quite lovely this morning, essentially just weighing in on what they think about the ongoing talks at the Bomas of Kenya. What do you think? Lydia says, waste of time. She doesn't see anything that's going to come out of it. Danton says, whoa, does the government really want anything to come out of those talks? Keep on talking to us at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. For all those who contributed this morning, we do appreciate your company all the way from 7 up to where we are right now. For now, we call it quits. I'll see you tomorrow for another edition. Good morning and goodbye.